Diversification and specialization. The diversification in structural forms of agriculture such as cropping pattern, livestock structure or agricultural enterprises explains why it is possible or necessary to raise a variety of these forms which possess nearly an even proportion. Agricultural diversification is now almost a normal feature, stable agriculture and progressive farm management in most of the extensive agricultural parts of the world. In the case of monoculture or specialization, the competition for agricultural land occupancy is weak. It is recognized that a study of spatial patterns of agricultural diversification and also that of specialization is of vital importance. In this lesson, we will get to know how diversification and specialization in agriculture impacts on the geography from the following headings. Definition of diversification, drivers of diversification, opportunities and threats for diversification, crop diversification in the Indian perspective, specialization. Definitions of diversification. In the agricultural context, diversification can be regarded as the reallocation of some of the farm's productive resources such as land, capital, farm equipment and paid labor into new activities. These can be new crops or livestock products, value-adding activities, provision of services to other farmers and particularly in richer countries, non-farming activities such as restaurants and shops. Factors leading to decisions to diversify are many but include reducing risk, responding to changing consumer demands or changing government policy, responding to external shocks and more recently as a consequence of climate change. While most definitions of diversification in developing countries work on the assumption that diversification primarily involves a substitution of one crop or other agricultural product for another or an increase in the number of enterprises or activities carried out by a particular farm. The definition used in developed countries sometimes relates more to the development of activities on the farm that do not involve agricultural production. The great majority of diversification activities simply involved the renting out of farm buildings for non-farming use, but 9% of farms had become involved with processing or retailing, 3% with provision of tourist accommodation or catering, and 7% with sport or recreational activities. Others adopt a broader definition which may include development of new marketing opportunities. In developing countries such as India, which has been one of the leaders in promoting diversification, the concept is applied both to individual farmers and to different regions, with government programs being aimed at promoting widespread diversification. The concept in India is seen as referring to the shift from the regional dominance of one crop to regional production of a number of crops, which takes into account the economic returns from different value-added crops with complementary marketing opportunities. Indeed, the main purpose of diversification in agriculture is to reduce the risk of overall return by selecting a mixture of activities that have net returns with low or negative correlation. Thus, the aim should be to find the risk-efficient combination of farming activities, not the one that merely minimizes variance. Agricultural diversification can be described in terms of the shift from the regional dominance of one crop towards the production of a large number of crops to meet the increasing demand of those crops. It can also be described as the economic development of non-agricultural activities. The process of diversification can be classified into horizontal and vertical diversification. Horizontal diversification can be referred to as that form of diversification wherein farmers diversify their agricultural activities in order to either stabilize or increase their income or both. It can either take the form of shift from subsistence farming to commercial farming or the shift from low-value food crops to high-value food crops. Vertical diversification refers to the farmer's access to non-farm income, that is, the income from non-agricultural sources. Drivers of diversification. Factors responsible for agricultural diversification depend on the way we define and measure agricultural diversification and also the region for which the agricultural diversification are being studied. While uncertainty and risk to varying degrees surround all forms of activity, it is considered more of a problem for agricultural production than for industrial production, due to the influence of climate and other natural factors on the agricultural output and the length of agricultural production cycle. Typically, the different types of uncertainties most farmers face are climatic factors, pests and diseases, price uncertainties, and policies related to agricultural production, marketing, and trade. In this respect, farm diversification may be considered as a spontaneous response to avoid many of these uncertainties. There are several reasons why diversification is an option for managing these uncertainties. First, the relationship between diversification and farm size is an indication of trade-off between risk reduction and return in a farming activity. It found that irrigation intensity, farm net worth, price risk, and farm size were strong variables affecting the level of crop diversification. It has found land tenures, off-farm work, education, and environmental variation as important determinant of diversification at the farm level. Second, aside from farm size, there are a number of potentially interesting micro-level variables which may affect diversification choices in a risk preference as well as alternative modes of behavior. These variables may include farm organization, technological and policy changes, geographical location, labor, experience of farmers, wealth of farmers, agricultural insurance, etc. Third, there are policy instruments designed to increase food security and to manage the environment and other resources in a sustainable manner rather than to maximize short-term farm profit. Studies indicate that the increase in area under high-value crops have been driven by demand, which can be distinguished as domestic and international demand. In the domestic market, demand for high-value crops is influenced by rising income. As income increases, consumers' preference shift from staple food items such as rice, wheat, and coarse cereals to high-value food items like fruits, vegetables, dairy, poultry, meat, and fish products. The above changes in the consumption pattern encourage the farming community to diversify its production portfolio in favor of high-value food items. Experiences from developing countries have revealed similar changes in the production portfolio on account of altering dietary patterns. On the supply side, diversification is influenced by improvement in infrastructure such as roads, markets, and technology. Diversification can be a response to both opportunities and threats. Opportunities and threats for diversification. Opportunities for diversification. Changing consumer demand. As consumers in developing countries become richer, food consumption patterns change noticeably. People move away from a diet based on staples to one with a greater content of animal products like meat, eggs and dairy, and fruits and vegetables. In turn, more dynamic farmers are able to diversify to meet these needs. Changing demographics. Rapid urbanization in developing countries has an impact on consumption patterns. Moreover, a smaller number of farmers, in percentage terms at least, has to supply a large number of consumers. While this may not imply diversification, it does require adaptation to new farming techniques to meet higher demand. Export potential. Developing country farmers have considerable success by diversifying into crops that can meet export market demand. Adding value. The pattern witnessed in the West and now becoming widespread in developing countries is for consumers to devote less and less time to food preparation. They increasingly require ready-prepared meals and labor-saving packaging. This provides the opportunity for farmers to diversify into value addition, particularly in countries where supermarkets play a major role in retailing. Changing marketing opportunities. The changing of government policies that control the way in which farmers can link to markets can open up new diversification possibilities. For example, in India, policy changes to remove the monopoly of state-regulated markets to handle all transactions made it possible for farmers to establish direct contacts with buyers for new products. Improving nutrition. Diversifying from the monoculture of traditional staples can have important nutritional benefits for farmers in developing countries. Threats. Urbanization. This is both an opportunity and a threat in that the expansion of cities places pressure on land resources and puts up the value of the land. If farmers are to remain on the land, they need to generate greater income from that land than they could by growing basic staples. This fact and the proximity of markets explains why farmers close to urban areas tend to diversify into high-value crops. Risk. Farmers face risk from bad weather and from fluctuating prices. Diversification is a logical response to both. For example, some crops are more drought-resistant than others, but may offer poorer economic returns. A diversified portfolio of products should ensure that farmers do not suffer complete ruin when the weather is bad. Similarly, diversification can manage price risk on the assumption that not all products will suffer low prices at the same time. In fact, farmers often do the opposite of diversification by planting products that have a high price in one year only to see the price collapse in the next, as explained by the cobweb theory. External threats. Farmers who are dependent on exports run the risk that conditions will change in their markets not because of a change in consumer demand but because of policy changes. Domestic policy threats. Agricultural production is sometimes undertaken as a consequence of government subsidies rather than because it is inherently profitable. The reduction or removal of those subsidies, whether direct or indirect, can have a major impact on farmers and provide a significant incentive for diversification. Climate change. The type of crop that can be grown is affected by changes in temperatures and the length of the growing season. Climate change could also modify the availability of water for production. Farmers in several countries, including Canada, India, Kenya, Mozambique, and Sri Lanka, have already initiated diversification as a response to climate change. Crop diversification in the Indian perspective. With the advent of modern agricultural technology, especially during the period of the Green Revolution in the late 60s and early 70s, there is a continuous search for diversified agriculture in terms of crops, primarily on economic considerations. The crop pattern changes, however, are the outcome of the interactive effect of many factors which can be broadly categorized into the following 5 groups. Resource-related factors covering irrigation, rainfall, and soil fertility. Technology-related factors covering not only seed, fertilizer, and water technologies but also those related to marketing, storage, and processing. Household-related factors covering food and fodder, self-sufficiency requirement, as well as investment capacity. Price-related factors covering output and input prices, as well as trade policies and other economic policies that affect these prices either directly or indirectly. Institutional and infrastructure-related factors covering farm size and tenancy arrangements, research, extension, and marketing systems and government regulatory policies. Obviously, these factors are not watertight but interrelated. For instance, the adoption of crop technologies is influenced not only by resource-related factors but also by institutional and infrastructure factors. Similarly, government policies, both supportive and regulatory in nature, affect both the input and output prices. Likewise, special government programs also affect area allocation and crop composition. Although the factors that influence the area allocation decision of farmers are all important, they obviously differ in terms of their relative importance both across farm groups and resource regions. While factors such as food and fodder self-sufficiency, farm size, and investment constraints are important in influencing the area allocation pattern among smaller farms, larger farmers with an ability to circumvent resources constraints usually go more by economic considerations based on relative crop prices than by non-economic considerations. Similarly, economic factors play a relatively stronger role in influencing the crop pattern in areas with a better irrigation and infrastructure potential. What is most notable is the change in the relative importance of these factors over time. From a very generalized perspective, Indian agriculture is increasingly getting influenced more and more by economic factors. This need not be surprising because irrigation expansion, infrastructure development, penetration of rural markets, development and spread of short duration and drought-resistant crop technologies have all contributed to minimizing the role of non-economic factors in crop choice of even small farmers. In a condition where agricultural growth results more from productivity improvement than from area expansion, the increasing role that price-related economic incentives play in crop choice can also pave the way for the next stage of agricultural evolution where growth originates more and more from value-added production. Specialization. The geography of specialized agriculture is complex. It includes many factors, and among them, the main geographical factors are physical geography and the location with respect to markets, resources, and transport routes. Another important factor is the role of individuals and institutions. As noted already, area shifts and crop pattern changes can lead either to crop specialization or to crop diversification. The area share of food grains increased during 1967 to 76, partly due to their yield advantages created by irrigation expansion and green revolution technologies, and partly to government policies pursued to encourage food production and eliminate food imports. As a result, there was a tendency towards cereal-centered specialization. But later, when increased productivity of food grains, especially cereals, made it possible to allocate more area to other crops such as oilseeds with a severe supply shortage, the specialization tendency witnessed earlier has given room for overall crop diversification. Even within such an overall crop diversification, it is also possible to see specialization tendencies within each crop group. For instance, within cereals, the declining share of coarse cereals and increasing share of wheat and rice indicates a rice and wheat centered specialization. Such a specialization has become possible because within the achievement of self-sufficiency, mainly through an expanding production of wheat and rice, the food implication of coarse cereals has declined almost coinciding with their declining demand, prompted by an increasingly incurring income level. On the other hand, within oilseeds, even though groundnut still has a dominant area share, the growth of area under rapeseed and mustard, sunflower and soya bean indicates an ongoing structural change leading to diversification within the oilseed sector. The issue of crop diversification, although considered in area terms, assumes significance in view of its effects on the supply-demand balance of main crops and crop groups. The rice and wheat centered specialization, for instance, indicates an increase in the supply of wheat and rice but a reduced supply of coarse cereals. Since the demand for coarse cereal is declining and that for wheat and rice is increasing due to changes in the income pattern, the changes in their supply are actually necessary to achieve the required demand-supply balance. A similar line of argument can also be extended to other crops where, in addition to domestic demand, international demand and supply also assume significance. Clearly, during the Green Revolution period, the food grains category has evinced an increasing tendency towards specialization with an unbalanced area composition, whereas the non-food grains category has shown an increasing tendency to diversify with an improved balance in their area composition. But during 1976 to 97, the non-food grains category has also caught up with the specialization tendency and area imbalance that characterized food grains throughout the entire period. The reason for the specialization tendency within food grains is rather obvious in view of the declining area share of coarse cereals and the increasing area share of rice and wheat. The changing area share of crops can also explain the specialization tendencies observed among the non-food grains. Within food grains, on the other hand, while cereals tend towards specialization with an increasing imbalance in their area composition, pulses evince a tendency to diversify with a declining imbalance in their area composition. The latter result is mainly due to the fact that the area shares of the dominant pulses such as gram have declined to give room for other pulses such as pigeon pea. Among the non-food grain crops, spices are notable not only for their increasing tendency towards diversification but also for a declining imbalance in their area composition. In contrast, fibers, fruits and vegetables, other field crops and plantation crops have all evinced a specialization tendency, especially after 1986-87. It can be concluded that in addition to economic policy, geography has important effects on cross-country variations in economic growth. Availability of resources such as land, water, labor and sunlight or critical for crop diversification schemes. The issue of crop diversification, although considered in area terms, assumes significance in view of its effects on the supply-demand balance of main crops and crop groups. The rice and wheat centered specialization, for instance, indicates an increase in the supply of wheat and rice, but a reduced supply of coarse cereals. Since the demand for coarse cereals is declining and that for wheat and rice is increasing due to changes in the income pattern, the changes in their supply are actually necessary to achieve the required demand supply balance. A similar line of argument can also be extended to other crops where, in addition to domestic demand, international demand and supply also assume significance.